If you're actively seeking ways to build your mental toughness, navigate life transitions with grace, or simply find inspiration to keep moving forward, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. Hi, welcome everyone to another episode at the Art of Beautiful Thinking. In today's episode, we're actually going to be covering the benefits of exercise when you're going through anxiety, adversity, depression, those types of things. So this is part of our adversity tools series. So, Kat, exercise, tell me.
Yes. Well, I've had a really interesting relationship with exercise my whole life. There's been times when I've gone crazy hard at it and other times when I haven't. But I can tell you that the times that I have been engaged with exercise have been times when I've felt so much better about every aspect of my life. I know that when I was at university, I started studying in psych, and it was made really, really clear, and this gets bandied around a lot, that regular physical exercise is just as effective as low dose antidepressants for people in assisting with, your mood.
That's good to know, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
absolutely.
I don't know what I prefer to do.
And I mean, the other thing is for anxiety, so it's fantastic for depression, gets you moving, gets you outside, which gives you a shift in perspective as well, or even wherever you choose to go, whatever exercise you choose to do. And for anxiety, again, it's amazingly effective for anxiety. So, which is something that I had very badly with my PTSD after I lost my daughter. It took me a lot of years to master anxiety. And, anxiety releases lots of adrenaline into your blood and cortisol. Adrenaline thickens your blood. It can give you headaches and it can make you feel really crappy. So important to drink lots of water, and important to eliminate that from your body. And the way you do that, even if you go for a walk, that has an effect on everything in your body. So it affects your blood and the muscles that you must pump all your blood around your body, your heart. It drains your lymphatic system. It gets that moving. It does peristalsis in your gut and bowel. So it will make you eliminate more efficiently. And that's all part of the digestion that we all forget about, because what you take in, you got to get out.
You do.
So important, so important. So all of those things, and it will reduce the adrenaline in your blood, which will have the knock-on effect of calming and relaxing the muscles in your body as well. Because if you're anxious, you're walking around like this with your shoulders up your ears, and you're stressed. Getting out and moving and stretching effectively afterwards, actually, that's another one. If you are stressed, huge difference, huge. How about yourself?
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you've just said. I think exercise is, I know if I don't exercise when I'm, feeling down and out, or I'm a bit stressed or what have you, I can't think clearly about how to resolve the situation or how to go about working the situation. As in, if I go off and exercise, all of a sudden I've got clarity of thought. It kind of helps to clear my mind, and it helps me to de-stress for the day. I know when I used to do martial arts, I'd go, well, okay, I've had a really bad day in the office, so I'm just going to take it out on the mat. Not to the person that I'm doing it, but just in my movements, I take it out on the mat. And it's a really good way to release that sort of really negative energy that you're holding from, whether it be anxiety, stress, depression, stuff's going on in your life. It's just a really good release mechanism. And I think it's also great, as I said, to just provide a really clear mind. And normally you feel better after you do it.
You do. You feel so much better. Like you just, even if you've got a massive problem that you're really, really thinking about, just going and having some exercise, whatever it is, you come back and you just think, it just gives you a bit of breathing space, just gives you that little bit of headspace that you needed. And the hardest thing I find is doing it and getting started with it, because you do get addicted to it after a while. You do realize that when you first start doing exercise, you think, oh God, I've just got to get off my bum. I've got to do it. There's so many more nice distractions I'd love to be doing here, like sitting on the couch with my dog and watching a movie or something like that, or with my husband.
Yeah.
Notice I said the dog before the husband, but that doesn't mean anything. I still love him.
It's easier to not exercise than it is to exercise. But I usually look at one of the motivators that I use is how I feel after I've done it. Yeah. And if I don't do it, and I go, and if I don't do it, how will I feel? And so I give myself both scenarios, and then I kind of go, so which one do you want?
That's a really good way of doing it. Yeah, because you do. And once you start doing it for a while, you go, "Oof, but I will feel good once it's done." And
Yeah.
the added bonus to getting the exercise done is just not how you feel physically, but I also feel enormously smug, and I quite enjoy that.
It
I'm
I
smug, I
actually
get
I
it.
actually look forward to exercise, and it's funny because if I've had a week that's a bit out, like if I may be
Yeah,
ill or a really really busy week, and I don't have time to do
yeah,
a lot of exercise during that week or what have you, or I don't do any, my body really feels it. Like my joints
yeah.
start to tighten up a bit more. I
Same.
find I lose my mobility
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
sense of my body motion isn't as good as it normally is,
yeah.
and I also feel that kind of monkey mind starts to
Mm,
get,
yeah,
come up a little bit more. And
your chatter.
then I find that when I do exercise regularly, it's the complete opposite. And
Yeah.
you do actually feel good within yourself. And it's
Hmm.
almost like it's like like your core is on fire, and I don't mean from a perspective of on fire from a pain thing, but you just feel really strong
Yeah.
internally when when you
Feel
exercise
centered.
regularly. And
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what form of exercise, whether it's walking, running, swimming, weight work, Pilates.
yep.
There's so much to choose from.
Yeah, of
Pick
course.
what works for you.
Yep.
But it doesn't matter. But you'll get that feeling up when you do it regularly. You just feel strong within yourself.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, you do.
I think
Yeah.
it's that body being in, helping the body be in homeostasis as we're talking about.
And the other thing is really interestingly, so my husband and myself, as you know, we're both very tall. Um, yeah, exercise really does get rid of your back pain, and that's something I think I read something recently that was saying something like 40% of people suffer from some kind of back pain.
They
And it
do.
was saying that for the most part, that can be relieved with gentle, steady exercise. Not all, I'm not
Mm.
saying all, because obviously if you've got some really severe injuries, but if it's sort of soft tissue, or my doctor used to call it fat back syndrome, like sitting around too much, particularly because we all sit in offices, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
We
We do.
sit in
Oh,
offices all
there are
day.
labourers and there are, labourers and stuff like that out there that
Yes.
are physical all day, and they
Well,
actually need to relax probably a little bit,
probably more. Yeah.
do some more
Very good.
stretching, do some more
Yes.
stretching in their day to help alleviate some of
Yeah.
that lactic acid buildup. But
That's
it's
right.
the yeah,
Often
it
it's,
is we do as a society tend to sit on our asses more than we do,
far too
move.
much.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 And we're always on our devices and things like that, and that kind of really
Tech neck.
you don't realize how much time goes by. And it's fascinating because
Mm.
people go, well, I don't have a lot of time in my day, and I think, well, how much are you spending on your
Oh,
device?
doom scrolling, it just sucks you in, doesn't it? It's
It
terrible, yeah.
does.
So, yeah, I noticed that when I exercise, my aches and pains reduce, my back is more flexible, I feel better in general, I sleep
Yeah,
better, you know.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
and I mean, the other thing is, are you a person that likes to exercise at night or in the morning, or you don't really care?
I have a preference for doing rowing in the morning. I much prefer doing that in the morning because I have an indoor aqua rower, and I like to actually look outside. And
Mm,
so I have the curtains drawn, and I'm looking at nature and stuff like that whilst I'm
yes.
actually rowing.
Yeah.
As in, if it's dark, if it's nighttime, I can't see what's
Yeah.
going on out there. And I actually really like to feel as if I'm in nature. It's
In your beautiful garden
something.
with all your flowers?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
gorgeous.
And then my mobility exercises that I do in the evening. So
Yeah,
yeah,
right. That's a
yeah,
great idea. Okay, so you've got a real routine down, haven't you?
yeah, yeah.
Mm, mm.
And
Oh,
I mean, currently I'm doing rowing 3 days a week. I'd like to get it to a point of daily,
yeah,
but currently I'm doing it 3 days a week because for me it really tightens like I get my shoulders work out quite a lot in it,
yeah,
and they tense up quite easily. So I need to give them a bit of a rest, but still need to build up that
yeah,
kind of muscle strength
that
in it for it to
fitness.
be able to do rowing every single day, and I'm getting there.
It's
So
very
yeah,
cardiovascular too, isn't it?
it is. It's both strength training and cardiovascular, like aerobic. It's both.
All in
So
one.
you get a full body workout when
Mm,
you row.
yeah,
And I used to run, but I found as I get older, the running is really hard on my joints,
Yeah.
and that could also be because of, doing martial arts for such a long time and stuff like that. It's all
Yeah.
too much on the joints, and so rowing is actually really good on my joints.
Mm,
It's not
mm.
hard on your joints at all.
Yep.
And then as I said, I do the mobility stuff to help with stretching, keeping the joints mobile, all those types of things. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Important stuff.
because I think as you age, your exercise routine needs to adapt and change
Yeah.
for for as your body's aging. You can't expect to do high impact stuff, uh, and some people do. Their body can cope with it, but for me, I can't do um, high impact for too long in the sense of on
No,
my joints for too long because it's too much.
I don't
It's
want
too
to
much.
jump around like crazy anymore and do
No,
I mean, I've
and
done
your
so
body takes longer to recover as
yeah.
well.
It leaves
So
me too
yeah,
sore. So I would prefer to go on, a really, really good long walk with my
yeah,
dog. It's quite brisk up and down a
yep.
couple of hills, that'd be fine. And yeah, I probably need to I think I need to put some weight training and stretching back into my routine because I
Mm.
noticed that the other thing I think we forget about is sometimes we get aches and pains because of muscle atrophy.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was saying that when I don't exercise, that's what I
Mm.
feel. I
Yeah.
start to feel the aches and pains more than when I actually do
Yeah.
exercise.
Yeah.
I mean, you get different aches and pains when you exercise because it's actually working out the
Yes.
muscles. But the
Exactly.
other one is actually deep. It's almost like deep, deep pain. It's
Yeah, I get it in my
weird.
hips and lower back, and I
Yeah,
find if I start doing hip bridges and lots of squats and those kinds of work, that kind of work, it fixes it all. Otherwise,
yeah,
muscles atrophy, muscle pain is sort of like, yeah, those sort of horrible, yeah, knifing deep pains where everything's sort
yeah,
of falling apart. It's
yeah,
horrendous.
yeah.
And
You do. You do. You
sometimes
feel like you're falling apart.
you feel like you're falling apart at the seams. I think sometimes we think that rest cures everything all the time, and we do it too much. I know that I've seen that. Like, I know people that have had surgeries or, they've had injuries and they knew that they needed to rehabilitate, which they've done, and then they've rested, but they rest too much. So
Yeah, yeah,
so I think we get into this whole thing where we're supposed to be avoiding any kind of discomfort at all, which we're not. We're
yeah.
not.
You
We're meant
do.
to have
Yeah.
some.
Yeah. You
We're
have to
meant
have
to have
comfort
tons.
to grow.
We
You
want to
just
have
don't need
tons, yeah.
pain to grow. So there's a bit of a difference.
That's
But
right.
yeah, so I actually think exercise is for me it's one of I look at it as one of my personal growth tools. So I have personal growth routine or habits that I've created to do daily, and my exercise is part of that tool list.
Yeah.
And I do it every single day as much as well. Weekends I'm doing renovation work, so that's a different form of exercise.
That
But
work
it's
out.
yeah, but it's the Monday to Friday. I'm usually doing something. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I try and fit it in. If I'm not working full-time hours, it's a bit easier. But then in Tasmania, it's very dark in the mornings. It's very dark quickly in the afternoons as well. So,
yes,
yeah, I try and get big walks in on the weekend as much
yeah,
as possible. But yeah, and I think the other thing for me, being a mum as well, and I think this is a common experience for a lot of mums, is that quite often, and this is a mistake I've made in the past, is I'll get up with the intention that I'm going to go and exercise and do what I need to do, but then I'll get waylaid by thinking, "Oh God, I really need to clean up that kitchen.
yeah.
It's
Okay,
just a
yeah,
bloody mess. Oh my God, there's so much washing. I've got to do this, this, and this." And by the time I've
yeah.
done it all, I've missed my window.
Yeah, so my
Mm.
workaround with that is when I started getting back into exercise, to be more serious with it again, because I go through phases, was gradually introducing it back in. So starting off with 10 minutes a day. And it's funny because I do that with everything. I'll kind of go,
Yeah.
if I'm bringing something new in, I'll bring it in for 5 or 10 minutes. And then start to gradually increase it,
Mm.
because then you're trying to formulate that habit at first,
Yeah.
and then doing it more regularly. So 10 minutes, when you think about it, 10 minutes is not a lot of time.
No, it's
um,
nothing.
and that's how I'd go. Well, it's only 10 minutes, so that's not going to stop me from being able to do these other chores that I've got to do, or work or what have you. So I'll
Yeah.
go and do 10 minutes. It'll go
Yep.
past quickly, and voila, and then
You feel
done.
great.
And
Yep.
yeah, and you feel better for it, and that builds up confidence as well
Mm.
within yourself, because you're actually showing up every day to do it, and it starts to
Yep.
build up confidence. And then you go, well, okay, I can do 15 minutes now, and then now I can do. And because you start seeing results as well, then you want to push yourself a little bit further.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right.
So yeah, so you build up to it. So with my rowing, for instance, I started off with 10 minutes. And in 10 minutes, I was doing probably 2 and a bit Ks.
Yep.
Um, and it was a hard slog initially, you
Yeah.
can't out of breath. And now I'm doing like about 40 minutes and I'm doing 8.5 Ks. So it's,
That's
and
incredible.
I won't go any longer than that. But it's, that's the, you build up to it. You build up to it gradually.
So
And
I've
I
got a dog
enjoy,
in here with me today. I hope that's allowed. Bring your dog to work day.
well,
No,
you
that's
need them
right.
sometimes. Yeah.
Hey?
I said you need them sometimes.
But yeah, you do. You build up to it. That's right. And
Yeah.
I was the same when I got Tallulah, this doggy. I wasn't particularly fit, and Tasmania is quite hilly. So
Yeah.
when we first started walking, we would do lots of flat walks, and I would go for maybe 3K. And now we're up to 7, 8K, no
Yeah.
problems. And
Yeah.
we can tackle some hills now too. So we're pretty good.
Exactly. And see,
Yeah,
that's the thing. As you're doing it gradually, you build up the confidence to
yeah,
go that little bit further and that little bit further. And
yeah,
each time you do it, though, as I said, it really helps with being able to deal with stress. So even if you use it as a mechanism to deal with you're having a bad day, or you need to just get out and just let things go, or just in general, it's a really, really good prevention
yeah.
because it helps you deal better with stress. It
It
helps
does.
you deal
Yeah,
better with anxiety and things like that and depression because the chemical releases that are going on in the
yeah,
body
yep,
through exercise help to deal with those types of things. And
yeah,
as you said earlier on when you started off, psychiatrists are saying that it's the same as having a low level
yeah.
antidepressant. So there you go.
I mean,
What more?
actually, and if you wanted to turn it on its head, here's the recipe for depression. Work yourself to the bone. Don't
Mhm.
spend any time with yourself or doing anything that you particularly enjoy. Don't have any play. Don't do any exercise and eat junk food.
Yeah,
You
it's
want
a
to get
great it's a
depressed?
great
Yeah,
recipe for it. Yeah, and if
that's
that's
how
what
it
you
works.
want, go for it.
You'll probably get a bit of anxiety on the side too, because that's always a comorbidity.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so the other way is to give the body what it wants, and movement is definitely something that we need. And we really don't move enough for the most
no,
part in our society. We
yeah,
really don't. I mean, it's quite common. I know when I first started working for other people, so I'd run my own business for 15 years when I was a founder, and I ran that business out of my home, which was a large home that I had on an acre, and then I'd have to walk up the back to my gigantic shed to pack all my stuff up and send it out and do all the things that I did with a big workshop in there. So everything was space, everything was movement. Then when I decided to go away from working for myself, I downsized. I went from being on an acre to a standard suburban block, and then I went and started working for other people in an office environment. And I remember at one point thinking to myself, oh my God, like I loved the work I was doing, but it was a big change. I'd left my beautiful home that I'd loved, I'd downsized. It was all strategic, but it was all
mm,
not what I really, it was part of the long-term plan, but I had to live through the short-term pain.
yeah.
And I thought, I can remember sitting in there in my lounge, looking at my fence, thinking, my God, all I do every day is get in boxes. I wake up in the morning in my box of a bedroom. I go and have a shower in the shower box, and then I jump in the car in the box on wheels, and I drive to the other box, which is my office, and I sit there all day, and then I come home to my box and I look at the box that surrounds my land.
Gosh, it's enough to make anybody depressed.
Yeah. I thought, oh my
Look at it from
God,
that perspective.
it was horrendous. Like I remember I did that for a while, and then eventually we sold up and moved down to Tasmania. But I really found that very depressing. And one of the
Yeah,
things that really helped me cope during that time was getting out in the morning and walking the dog. Just getting out. I had to
yeah,
change my scenery. I had to get out of the boxes and
yeah.
get out into nature and just walk around and look at the kangaroos and look at the trees and have a look at the outdoors. That just made all the difference to me. It lifted my mood. It was enormous, the benefits that came from that.
Now, being out in nature is amazing. It really does. And I think going for a walk in nature is it's one of the most uplifting things.
Mm.
Whether that's if you're lucky enough to be near water and you can go for a walk along the beach and things like that, or we used to in Melbourne we used to live around the Maribyrnong River and we used to go for walks around that. And I used to love
No,
it. It was
gorgeous.
fantastic. It's just I just love walking in nature and it just yeah, it just there's something about it, that fresh air, feeling that fresh air going
Yeah.
into your lungs and
Yep.
it's just really uplifting.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
That's another thing that I'd highly recommend. Be among, go out and go for walks in nature.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Get
have
your
to
eyes
be,
out. Get your eyes
yeah,
out
just
away
get
from
out
computer
there. Yeah,
screens and TV screens and
yeah.
phone
Or even
screens.
gardening. Gardening's a really great
Oh,
exercise. If
gardening's
you're lucky enough
amazing.
to have a garden and you like gardening, just, get out there and garden, do a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And that's also very nurturing as well, because you're actually bringing something to life.
That's
You're
right.
helping to bring something to life, and you're helping to keep it alive as well. And so it's very nurturing, and that also gives you a feeling, like a sense of not just accomplishment because you've helped to create something,
Yep.
but also just compassion again, being connected to nature again, all of those
Yeah.
things. It's
Yeah,
amazing, and that
absolutely.
helps. That really helps big time,
Get your
because
hands
I do find that, like, I've got a decent sized garden here, and I do find that if I'm really needing, like, if I feel really disconnected, that's what I'll go and do, is I'll
Yep.
go and garden to get myself reconnected again,
Yep. Yep.
and it
Yep. Stick
works
your hands in
really
the dirt.
well.
I love it. I love it. I actually love growing my own veggies.
Yeah,
Interestingly, there's nothing more rewarding than getting out there. Like I get broccoli envy, man. Like if I see people that have got
broccoli
really,
envy.
I do.
I think you're the only person I know who gets broccoli envy.
I'm like, I'm driving along, I'm like, look at their broccoli, it's huge.
Love it.
Bastards, I bet that's delicious. Yeah, I do. I get broccoli envy, yeah, I think, God, look at their veggie patch. I think I could just be an old hedge witch that lived in a manky little hut with a garden. If I didn't have to, work or do anything,
The simple life.
yeah, that'd be awesome. I just grow veggies all day, have my
Yeah,
chooks, do the composting. I just love
yeah.
it. I love it. And you're right. I mean, I can't have a garden here yet because my dog's, well, I've got a beagle cross and he just, I tried putting veggies in and he just ripped the lot out. It's like, oh, it smells great. Let's rip it
Yeah,
out.
I'll eat that, some of that. He knows well. He's got it
Yeah,
right.
they're annoying.
Well, look, I mean, if we go back with the little bit of the conversation, and you were talking about, body needing to move, it does. It's designed to move. We have to
Yeah,
move. And when we don't move, we feel it.
yeah, right.
And we feel it in multiple different ways.
Mm,
And,
mm.
whether that is mentally we feel it, or whether it's physically we feel it, whether it's health wise we feel it, but we
Yep,
feel it.
yep,
And so I think keeping yourself mobile in any sort of capacity
yeah,
is required. It's your body's designed to move. So
yeah, yep.
move it.
And
Move it,
do what
baby.
works for you. Have you seen the Blue Zones with Danny Butner? So many years ago, actually, guy called Danny, I think it's Butner. I think that's how you pronounce his surname. He brought out this book called The Blue Zones, and he'd gone around. He'd made like a work of checking into all the areas where they showed extraordinary longevity and in the world.
Yeah.
And sort of tried to correlate what all of the causes were. And
Yeah.
amongst other things, they do eat a lot of beans and legumes, and they do a lot of gardening. Actually, these people usually garden and grow their own fruit and veg in all these areas. I'm talking like certain parts of Japan, certain parts of Italy, Greece, different areas. So his
South
point,
America. Yeah. There's
yeah,
also a doco on it. He's done a documentary on it
yes,
as
on
well. Yeah.
Netflix, it's fantastic
Yeah.
actually. And one of the things he also pointed out in that was they all exercise. They all exercise in one way or another. So the Japanese, I think it was down on it was on oh god, it's
One of the
maybe one of
islands.
the islands, yeah, in Japan, and they would all garden and grow their own
Mm.
vegetables, but they'd all walk around a lot, so they don't really, they're sort of wandering about and talking to one another and spending time. And then you were looking at, I think it was in Italy, where the elderly people, they'd live to 100 years, and they're walking up steep old,
The
yeah,
stairs.
so
Yeah.
they're walking up
Yeah.
and down to go and visit one another and talk to one another, and they just don't stop walking all day, and they don't stop moving. And in Japan, um, naturally, they catch public transport. I lived in Japan for a little while, and yeah, everybody just jumps on the train, walks here, walks there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. I mean, there's a lot of cars in Japan too, but yeah, there's a lot of commuter traffic. So, and people walk everywhere, and that was one of the things that he said, it was just that exercise wasn't something they had to set time aside to do.
No, they just did it
They
as
just
part of
did it.
their
It's
day.
part of their
Yeah.
day, and that's
And because it's not the thing of going, oh, you've got to go to the gym, or you've got to go to Pilates, you've got to go to yoga. They're
yeah,
walking. They're not doing, they're not doing a
no,
whole heap of, like, body, lifting weights or doing any of
no,
that stuff. They're not specific about the type of exercise. They're just walking.
they're
They're doing a lot
walking.
of daily activity
They're
and
carrying,
moving.
they're
They're
squatting
carrying
down and
things.
lifting up and that kind of thing. their normal
exactly,
behavior.
exactly.
Because we don't do
So
that
and
stuff.
yeah,
We don't do that stuff in our life. You know, we get up, we in the
not enough
Western
of it.
world, not enough of it. We just don't, not enough.
Mm.
I mean, you can be that person that just lives in an apartment, never gardens. You know,
Yeah, and
you might,
have everything delivered to you.
yeah, or you might walk to the train station, which might not be that far from your house. You jump on that, you sit
Yep.
on the
Or
train.
you may work from home where you don't have to walk anywhere, and as said, get everything delivered to you,
Yeah,
and you don't have to move anywhere. You don't have
you don't have
to
to
do
do
anything.
anything. You just turn into a brain plugged into a computer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But our
I mean,
bodies,
gosh, I work from home, I work for myself, and
yeah,
it's really like, I look at that and I go, "It's important that I exercise and I get out and do things,"
yeah,
because it's so easy to get stuck
yeah.
just here, and then that's another thing because it separates you from
Mm,
your community,
it does, it
and
does.
I think that's the other thing that the Blues O shown is that sense of community. They've all got a very strong sense of community in
Yeah,
those particular
they got
areas as
connections.
well.
Mm,
That and that helps with any form of depression. In fact, one of the things that they spoke about in the Japanese one, which is a bit offside because it's got nothing to do with exercise, but I think it's part of the community aspect, is that they would all rally together if
yeah,
someone was having a difficulty paying a bill or something like
yeah,
that, because we're talking about older people and
yeah,
they're not working for the man anymore. They're retired,
yeah,
and
yeah.
sometimes if a health situation happened or for some unknown reason they didn't have enough money to pay electricity bill or whatever, they'd all come together
And
and
assist.
fork in money to help that person.
Yeah, they had little
And
friendship groups.
yeah,
Yeah,
and so that
yeah,
provides for that community, that knowing that they're always going to be looked after,
yeah, that's right.
regardless of what happens, that
Yeah,
their community is going to support them.
yeah, it's so good. It's so
That's
good.
that is, just, and so that would be a, if you look at it from a stress perspective, that helps to
Yeah,
alleviate that certain amount of stress because they all come into work with each other,
yeah, it's a protective
help each
factor.
other
I
out.
mean, it's just
Yeah.
another protective factor, and that's kind of what we're talking about, isn't it? That exercise is a protective
Yeah.
factor, and it has an umbrella effect over so many different things in your life, not
Mm.
just your physical side, but your mental health as well. So,
Yeah, and use it as a prevention. It's all about prevention.
yeah,
So don't just look at it from what can I get from it to look like a certain as we're talking about that external validation.
yeah,
You're doing it because it's helping you internally. It's helping you with your mental health. It's helping you with your physical health,
yeah,
and it's helping you with your longevity.
that's right.
So
And it's a
it's
good
got so
tool.
many. It's a very easy tool to
Yeah,
use.
it's a good tool to also use, as we've discussed before, to get in touch with your body so that you can have
Hmm.
that relationship with your body too. Because
Hmm.
I know I can remember there's times when I'm not lifting weights at the moment, but there have been times where I've lifted weights and it has been the only hour in my day that was mine, that I could
Yeah.
just go. I wouldn't put anything in my ears. I'd just go, do my reps. I'd be counting in my head and just processing stuff that's happening, that only time when you can actually, I guess that's like an active meditation where you can actually
Yeah.
like think about, or not even think about, you're just letting it swell through your mind as you're lifting and breathing. And then by the end of it, you actually feel quite zen
Mm.
because you've processed a lot of crap, which normally
Exactly.
you wouldn't get the chance to do if you're super busy.
Well, you hear about athletes and things like that getting in the flow, and it's not just athletes. When you get into a particular routine and you're in there, you're doing it, you get in the flow.
Yeah.
And I know that with the rowing,
Mm.
I utilize it as a physical meditation, and
Yeah.
I just get into the flow.
Yep.
Um, and I process a whole lot of stuff, and I let go of a lot of stuff, and yeah, it's
Being in that
it's a
flow
really
state
good
is
mechanism.
my favorite state, actually. Flow state is my favorite state. And one of the things that has put me in that state is actually, it is, I think there's something about the repetitiveness of the rhythm of your feet,
Hmm.
and the rhythm of pushing the weight and whatever it
Yeah,
is that you're doing this. And then again, with the rowing, there's almost like a rhythm to it. And it
yeah,
puts you in that flow and you know what
it
you're doing and
does.
becomes a familiar repetitive action. And the fact that you can sit there and feel that, yeah, I think that's the state that we're supposed to be in a lot more than we are.
Mm, isn't it? It's a
Yeah.
very good point.
Yeah.
Because when you're in flow, you yeah, you're not resisting.
No.
You're just allowing yourself to go through that motion. You're
Yeah.
allowing whatever needs to come to you,
I felt that in
and
yoga from
yeah,
time to time too, and I
yeah,
felt it really makes you a lot calmer, a lot more relaxed,
Mm.
and your breathing. It's just good for everything. And then I noticed after, I mean, I did yoga in daily life. I did like an 8-week course or something in Brisbane years and years ago. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, things were really changing for me because I was doing the yoga, which was fairly difficult, but not so hard that I couldn't do it. And it
Yep.
involved a lot of meditation, a lot of um, resting at the end as well, and just
Mhm.
relaxing. And I'm not one of these people that can just sit and meditate. I have to be doing an active meditation because otherwise I'll
Yeah.
fly
Yeah.
into a demented panic attack. So,
Well, guided meditations, yeah.
yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and I just found after maybe 2, 3 weeks of doing that, not only did I feel stronger in my body and more relaxed physically, my posture was better, but my skin looked better. Everything was
Mm.
better. You know, you just get that
Yeah.
vibrancy about you that
Yeah.
exercise
Yeah.
brings. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You look vital. It's
Yes.
that vital energy.
Yes,
Yeah.
instead of stagnating. I think the Chinese refer to it as qi. Well, in martial
Chi.
arts, the
Yeah.
qi energy of
Yeah.
it's your
Yeah.
blood, but it flows in your energy. It's what lights you up from the inside, isn't it? Because we aren't
Yeah.
just
Exactly.
plumbing. We
No.
are something
No, we're
else.
not. Yes, and exactly what that something else is, I don't think any of us really, really know. So that's
No, but we're
yeah,
working on it. We're
it's
working on
fascinating.
it.
We are working on it. Yeah, I believe exercise gives you definitely more get up and go. At first, when you first start doing it or you're getting back into it, you kind of feel a bit tired because you haven't, done it in a while, and you
Yeah.
feel a little bit sluggish and tired. But then when you get into that routine with it, it does give you more of that, as I said, that core strength. You get more get up and go. Um, you feel healthier within
Yeah.
yourself. You
Yeah.
feel better within yourself, and I think you also start to listen to yourself more
Yeah, I
as well.
agree. You
Like
tune in.
tune
Yeah.
into what your body needs and
Mm,
what it's asking for,
mm,
and you tend to do that a little bit more. We already mentioned about it clearing the mind. It definitely does that. It
mm,
helps to clear the mind, and I also find because it helps to clear the mind, it means that you're able to come up with answers a lot
mm.
easier as well because you're not stressed. You're not caught up in the
Yeah.
spiraling down type of thing.
Yeah.
You've got clarity of mind, so you can come up with solutions a lot easier
Yeah. Yeah.
than you would normally. Um,
Breaks you out of
so
those
yeah,
circular thinking patterns. Because as a person who's lived with a lot of anxiety, yeah, anxiety is definitely a loop. It definitely is
it
a loop.
is.
And to get
Yeah.
out and go out for a walk and be away from your own thoughts and just change the scenery and do something different, it lifts you
Mm.
the whole day. That's why I like to exercise in the morning. Because you just feel different. You feel better. You present differently. You know, you
Yeah.
charge into work and you're like, right, I'm here. I'm good to go. And then the naysayers go, God, why is she so positive?
Well, I actually I use the my whole reason to exercise, and I mentioned earlier on, is that that real thing is about the mental health, and I've said that on numerous occasions.
Yeah.
It's even though I get a dopamine hit from it, and even though it makes me feel better, and and I believe that we all should be moving and stuff like that. At the end of the day, the reason why that I do it, not just for longevity or stuff like that, is because it absolutely helps me with my mental health.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I know when I'm not doing it,
Mm.
I will suffer from depression. I will probably have an anxiety attack or stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when I am exercising regularly,
Mm.
it's yeah, totally different. And that's my main reason for doing it.
Yeah.
So for people who go, well, I can't, I don't like exercising. I can't find a reason to, because I don't want to just exercise because I want to pump, I want to look
Yeah.
fantastic, or I want to fit into this piece of
Yeah.
clothing. For some people, that is their motivator.
Yeah.
But if you struggle with coming up for a reason,
Mm.
I would say to you, why would you not do it if it helps with your mental
Yeah.
health? And and if you can avoid taking a low level antidepressant because exercise can help you
Mhm.
replace that,
Yep.
then again, why not do it?
Yeah.
It's you've got nothing to lose by doing
Got
it,
nothing to
and
lose. Absolutely
you're gonna
nothing.
feel so
Yeah.
much better for
Yeah,
it, for
absolutely.
doing it.
Yes.
And it then starts, as I said before, it starts building up the confidence because you start turning up all the time as well, and you start feeling more confident in yourself as well.
Well, that's a big part of it, I think. I think particularly in people that might have gained a few pounds, or they're quite a few kilos overweight. They're feeling really unfit, and they might have old injuries or something. They're afraid of flaring back up again. That is a big thing, and I think what a lot of us do is we go, right, I'm going to go and join the gym. I'm going to go and get fit in there. I think the gym is probably the worst place to start, isn't it? I really think, like, not running down people that go to the gym, but if you want to go somewhere that you're going to feel self-conscious, like you're a complete outsider coming in and you haven't worked out for a really long time, you don't know the equipment, that's a place that you're going to feel really awkward.
Yeah,
Really
yeah,
awkward.
you
Wearing
will.
gym gear if you're not feeling particularly svelte.
Yeah,
And then there's bloody mirrors everywhere, and big muscly people and super skinny people, and yeah, that is ultimately the most awkward place to start, I think.
great showroom.
Great showroom. And nowadays everyone's putting all of their shit up on, you know,
Yeah,
Instagram, aren't they?
they are.
Last time I was in a gym, I was watching this young lady, and she was like standing there posing and I could see it took God knows how many photos. Like, she's trying to get her bum and her arm in at the same photo. And I thought, wow. Like, I mean, she worked out for, I don't know, maybe half an hour, and then spent at least half an hour doing poses.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah,
I would just not even, I mean, look, if I looked like a total goddess and had a perfect body, I just would not do that. I don't know. Would you?
mm. Oh, yeah, I mean, each to their own. There's some people that's, that's what they go.
Yeah.
She may be an influencer, and that's her, her whole way of making money. It's who knows, who
Who
knows.
knows? But yeah, I'd probably
But
go
yeah,
home
it is
photos.
fascinating. Why, and even when when you're looking at that from that perspective of if you are feeling a bit more self-conscious and things like that, then just start by going for walks,
Yeah,
or
go for a
start
walk.
from doing just some small, some stretches and
Yeah.
things like that.
Well, jump on YouTube.
Start
Jump on
small.
YouTube in your lounge room. That's
Yeah,
the other good one.
exactly.
There's so many different things.
Exactly.
There's yoga.
Oh, there's so
Mm,
much online, it's not
mm,
funny,
mm.
And like I mentioned about Kaiser earlier on, when I was because for a while I had to stop exercising because I had, my neck was out of sync from doing CrossFit. I actually,
Oh, really?
pushed my cervic bone, like spinal, it
Cervical
was
spine. Oh,
slipped. I had a slip disc,
ow, ow, ow,
and
ow.
so for quite a long time I couldn't do anything. And then gradually, when I started managing the pain, I was able to gradually get back into exercise. And I thought, okay, I need to do stretching and mobility. I'm not going to go lift weights. I'm not going to go do any high impact stuff because it would just aggravate it.
Yeah, it's not gonna work.
And so I started with doing stretching and mobility, and I went online and started searching for a whole heap of, because there's so many people on there, and I went and did a bit of search, and I came across Kaiser, and I just loved her attitude
Yeah, yeah.
towards exercise. It was a really, really healthy attitude.
Mhm.
And she also does it because it helps with her mental,
Yep.
health. And she's got an athletic background, but she's an amazing instructor. So if you can find someone who works for you online,
Mhm. Mm.
then go find them,
Yeah.
But she works really well for me. And Jeff and I have been doing Kaiser at least 2 or 3 times a week in fact, we came across it during COVID times because that was how it happened, right?
Wow.
We couldn't go to the gym or, go to Pilates or go to yoga or stuff like that because we were in lockdown.
Mm.
And I knew that I needed to move, and
Yeah.
I was like, well, okay,
What do we
um,
do?
what can we do?
Mhm.
Yeah, and came across Kaiser. So
Yeah. There's a lot of
yeah,
online stuff for that now too, actually. And again,
there is.
minimal equipment needed, which is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Well, all you need is your lounge room
Mm.
or your bedroom, and your TV and a laptop or your phone. You
Easy.
can do it anywhere. Can do it anywhere. And they usually have, routines that last for 10 minutes or up to 40 minutes. It's all up to you. And they've got beginner exercises and intermediate and advanced. It's totally up to you.
Ah,
You start where you're
perfect.
at.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it's, and there's lots of free yoga YouTube videos. There's all sorts of
Yeah,
stuff.
there's heaps
There's
of
all
it. Yeah.
sorts.
And
So
if you've been
yeah.
stiff and sore and haven't done anything for a long time, doing a really good deep stretching video, you just feel like a different human.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I think you forget, like, you get so used to being stiff and sore. Once you're not anymore, it's like, "Oh my god, my shoulders move how far?" You
Yeah.
know? This is great.
And you do feel better for it. Yeah. And so that I did that we did that 6 days a week initially. We were doing it. So we started off with doing all the beginner stuff and
Yeah.
then but we were doing it every day.
Yep.
And we did that consistently for all the way through lockdown.
Yeah, right.
And by the end of it, um, the neck pain that I was getting started to subside because I was moving and I was stretching and I was giving it what it needed to help it heal quicker,
Yeah.
rather than going off and doing high impact, which was just going to aggravate it
No.
and not help it heal. So it's also about listening to your body. What
Yeah.
does your body need at this
Yeah.
given time, and go and do that for your body.
Yeah. And also
Right.
what suits your body type, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember when I was going to the gym, when I was quite slim, actually, after I'd had my first daughter, and I just went to the gym every single day, 5 days a week, and I ate really well, and I really knocked off the baby weight very quickly. So I was very fit. And then one day I was invited by a friend to go in to do one of those trampoline classes. Have you seen those when you're all on little mini
Yeah, yeah,
trampolines?
yeah. Yeah.
And the music started, and it was just like 160 beats per minute. You're meant to be jumping up and down, going,
Oh, wow.
and I was like, these tiny little women that were, size 8 with tiny petite bodies and things. And then there's me, 6 foot tall. No joke. I think as I jumped up and then jumped back down, like my boobs met me coming back up. You know what I mean? I just couldn't. I was like, no, this is not for me. This is not for me. I'm not doing this one.
getting black eyes.
I was like, holy shit,
Like, thanks.
no. It was just horrendous.
Yeah.
So no, I went back to pump classes because that was a bit more sedate.
And that's it. It's finding what works for you. Absolutely. Like I know so many people who are runners, and as I said, I used to be a runner, but I was a sprinter, and then teaching myself to go for jogs was quite a hard slog because you're using different muscles, and it's also a different breathing rhythm from sprinting to jogging, and so I had to retrain myself, and then I started jogging, but I've never been someone to go, I want to go and do a half marathon or a marathon. It was like, I'm happy to do, 7 to 10 Ks jogging. That's fine by me. Any more than that, no. And as I said, after a while, I couldn't jog because of the joint pain anyway. But I absolutely admire those people that are able to do 25 kilometer, marathon runners. And I just go, wow.
I know. I look at them and I think, my God.
And people starting, they're starting to do it in, like in their 40s or 50s, and they start to become these full-on marathon runners, and they love it. They get addicted to it, and it's fantastic. And usually, like in some conversations that I've had with people who have done it, especially some of the males, it's usually because their wife has said to them, I'm really concerned, we're getting older, and I'm really concerned of your cardiovascular health, so I think you need to start something up. And then they go, okay, well, I'll start running. I don't know why they're running. And, some of them were like, never ran before. I've never been a runner. And then they start running and they love it. And they start becoming marathon runners.
That's amazing. And I mean, and some of them do it into their 90s. It's incredible. And
exactly.
Definitely get heaps of longevity out of exercise. I mean, it's just amazing. I knew a guy in New South Wales that had a terrible, terrible car accident. I think it was a motorbike accident. So when you look at his leg, his knee is, the patella doesn't sit at the front; it sits off to the side.
Oh, yeah.
Really damaged it. So, and his wife had the same conversation. I think you need to do something. You've put a bit of weight on, and you need to get yourself sorted. Now she's a marathon runner. So he tried to do running with her, and he just said, it's just impossible. I just can't,
can't do it.
With that. So he went to the doctor in sheer frustration and said, what am I going to do? And the doctor said, just get a bike. And he went, oh, okay.
Yeah, I can do something else. Exactly right. There are choices, people.
And then he started doing 100-kilometre bike rides and stuff, and super duper fit and lost loads of weight and loves every minute of it and goes out and does it all the time. And I was like, wow. He said, it's just, you got to do what suits you.
You've got to find the thing that works for you. Yeah, absolutely. And when you do find that thing, you love it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Your body will love it. Your body will love you. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So on that note, thank you very much for joining us today. We hope again that you got a few insights from today's. Oh, and Lula says hello.
This is my walking friend.
And yeah, that you got some insights from today. Again, any questions, please feel free to throw them at us. We're more than happy to answer them. We'll probably spend a session, an episode once a month on answering questions that we get from our audience.
Yep.
Or if you've got any ideas that you would like us to share during our podcast sessions as well.
Exactly.
Please also join our Facebook community page. We'd love that. We'd love to hear from you. Again, thank you for your time. We know it's precious. Okay, take care.
Take care.
We'd like to say a huge thank you to our incredible audience for your continued support. Our mission is to ignite your spark, empowering you to be a beacon of light for others. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've got any questions that you would like answered in future episodes or just want to share some insights, connect with us on our Facebook community page. If you're looking for additional resources, go to our website. You'll find the link below. And remember, the absolute best way to help us grow is to share this episode with your friends and family and to subscribe to the Art of Beautiful Thinking podcast. So until next time, think beautifully and live brilliantly.